Good morning. It's Friday, December 27th. I'm Sarah Smith. Ben and Kim have the day off. Thank you so much for joining us here on News 3 today. We begin with a developing story this morning as many questions are still unanswered regarding the status of 4 soldiers based out of Fort Stewart that went missing overseas earlier this week. Thousands of spring breakers flooding Tybee Island for the return of Orange Crush. WSAV's Eden Hodges has been on the island all day talking with partygoers. She has the latest on the crowds out there. The allergy medication came out last night.
Yes.
The Benadryl.
So you slept well?
Yes. Exactly.
Yeah.
My nose was itching so much though, that pollen.
Everything's just green.
Yeah. But at least it's pretty.
Right. I mean, it matched St. Patrick's Day, but now St. Patrick's Day is over.
Yeah.
You know?
Time to move on.
Time to move on.
All right, thank you, Alyssa. We start by turning things over to Storm Team 3 Chief Meteorologist Scott Roberts, who is monitoring a line of storms heading into our area. Scott? In Hinesville, a woman is lucky to be alive after she was hit by a car last month. Now she wants justice and the person who did this to turn themselves in.
Definitely news a lot of us are excited to hear that football is back. Well, at least for a little bit.
The Jacksonville Jaguars opened their second week of off-season training activities, more commonly known as OTAs. Our sports director Joey Lamar is in Jacksonville with more. Well, Christina Murray carried this child for 9 months, gave birth to him, and then took care of him for 5 months, only to have to give him back to his biological parents. Lawyers say this is more common than you might think. Well, Andrew and Tina, what was a search is now a recovery effort. Officials making that call about 45 minutes ago due to the severe weather moving into the area. Now I'm going to step out of the way. You can see the bridge on I-95 right here behind me. That's where we're told it happened. The man that fell in the water is a construction worker, according to a spokesperson with the Bryan County Sheriff's Office. Well, that gang going by the name Sex, Money, Murder, and that name alone sums up a lot of the activity detailed in this 61-page indictment. The entire cathedral filled with so much excitement and raw emotion as Pope Leo XIV walked onto that balcony. People scrolling on their phones through social media to see the announcement or watching it live. While the proposed ordinance looks to penalize people who leave their car doors unlocked, Mayor Johnson wants you to take an extra step by putting away your gun in a place like your glove compartment and locking it. Very little is left of Chalmers Kicklighter's home here in Glenville, but his parents say while he has a long recovery ahead of him, they're just thankful to still have their son and that his roommate was not home at the time. This chase ended right here in this residential neighborhood. A home is right here. The tire marks going up to the fence beside that home, but some people are wondering, is it worth it for a police chase to happen right here in a residential neighborhood? Yes, that heavy construction and congestion here on Highway 280 is driving one family out of their home. I'll give you a little bit of a peek of what's going on here at the intersection of I-16 and 280. Those residents tell me they've seen far too many accidents on this road and they're fed up with this situation. Egg prices have officially hit an all-time high. According to the Consumer Price Index, a dozen costs about $5 or more, and that's if you can find them. But many people are turning their backyards into a chicken coop, trying to save some money. Well, Ben and Tina, the damage is extensive. We're standing right off from what we're told is a showroom and office space. You can see a car is still inside. Also, the glass on the ground, we believe that firefighters knocked out the front windows so they could get inside and tackle this blaze. Also, the ceiling is heavily damaged. We were told there was storage upstairs, and that certainly contributed to the fire spreading. So everything inside of this building was touched by fire, and the smoke plumes were so large that several people assumed this was an explosion. Elwin Sr. in court today as pictures, text messages, and even internet search history from he and other family members were shown. It's been over 6 years since the bodies of Elwin Jr. and Mary Crocker were found behind the home in Guyton.
This week is the week to hear all remaining motions and get this case moving forward to where it needs to be, because 6 years is unreasonable.
The prosecution butting heads with the defense for Elwin Crocker Sr. in court. Over a dozen motions heard, many of them about the evidence to be presented during the trial.
We are making sure that there are not jurors that should not be on this jury based upon what we know is going to be coming.
Defense attorney Geraldine Bell wants the state to list the photos they will be using at trial, also requesting text messages prosecutors plan to use. The prosecution saying they don't have to disclose specifics.
There is no requirement on the state to notify defense counsel of each and every exhibit we intend to introduce at trial, because one thing changes as you go through trial.
The defense also wanting to stop the prosecution from presenting some evidence from electronic devices with no specific owner. Also being considered the internet history of Mark Wright, step-uncle to the children.
He was searching for signs of concussion, and you saw there was a message where it talks about Mary had been hit in the head too many times. Modern CPR, yellow pill of death, yellow pills that kill, and the effects of drinking Clorox.
The state saying all of this points to the conditions the children were in. And shockingly, they say Elwin Sr. was texting his wife while burying his daughter's body.
He tells Candace Crocker that he is knee-deep in the hole where he's burying his daughter.
Another motion by the defense was to recuse the DA's office from the case altogether, citing that years ago the office went through the wrong channels to get Elwin Sr.'s medical records. Whether that will happen is up to the judge. Elwin Sr. and his alleged co-conspirators' lives on the line. And there are motion hearings scheduled for Tuesday and Wednesday of this week. Kimberly Wright and Mark Wright also facing those murder charges and the death penalty if convicted. Now, a medical examiner is expected to come in Wednesday to look over some of the autopsy photos and determine what can be presented in the trial. Stick with News 3 for updates as this case moves forward. Live in Effingham County, Sarah Smith, WSAV News 3 on your side. In counties like Tattnall and Toombs, Vidalia sweet onions are like gold, and they're a major driver for the economy in rural communities. Now look at this field here in Glenville. You can see over 10 million onions alone have been harvested, soon to hit stores all across the world. After being planted in November, these onions have reached the sweet spot. Workers scattered across this 99-acre field in Tattnall County to prepare them for packaging.
They'll hold these tops, and they're going to cut them here about 1.5 inches stem length long, or maybe 2.
But these are no ordinary onions.
We have a lot of demand. We have people that beg for our onions.
According to Cliff Reiner of GNR Farms, the sandy soil in southeast Georgia is what makes this crop a signature Vidalia sweet onion, along with genetics, of course.
The granite shape is the flat shape like this. Is what signifies a sweet onion.
20 counties produce the unique crop. Tattnall and Toombs carry about 90% of production. Once clipped and dried, the onions end up in a warehouse to be sorted and packaged. When shopping for individual onions, make sure to look for the numbers 4159.
That's the trademark Vidalia number.
Between GNR Farms and their contract growers, over 1,000 semi-trailer loads full of onions are shipped out each season.
That's just our operation. You've got Bland Farms and Schumann Farms is equal size and scope, and so it's a big economic importance to the county.
GNR has about 70 full-time workers year-round, not to mention the hundreds of men and women they hire through the H-2A program for clipping and planting. Reiner says they ship nationwide and to Canada, the market continuing to grow.
We've got the I-75 and I-95 corridor right here in between us, so we can get these onions to the major population of the U.S. pretty fast. And a better rate than like a California onion or a Western onion.
Reiner telling me how proud he is to be a part of this production. Years of hard work from farmers all over the state, putting the Vidalia sweet onion on the map.
I've been traveling before and be in an airport way off, and I'll have a shirt that'll say Vidalia onions, and they'll look at me and say, I know that. It's very unique to have that kind of pride.
The Vidalia sweet onion season is expected to run through September. Reporting in Tattnall County, Sarah Smith, WSAV News 3 on your side.